Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is take two, because I'm an idiot and forgot to click the record button. Today, I'm doing an interview with tdatz 3000. You can find him on Twitch. His link will be in the description. How are you today, tdatz?
I'm doing excellent, sir. How are you?
I'm. I was better till 2 minutes ago. Alrighty. We gotta get into the hot topics.
Yes, absolutely, sir. Let's go.
Alright. What are your opinions on the Annihilator orbs and the Annihilator's
All right.
team?
Since we're doing take two, I'll keep it a little bit shorter. Uh, for me, I knew that this was going to be a meta team. I invested them heavily because I've always prioritized Arena. I think that's been nothing but a good investment for me. I have all three of them unlocked. I have all of them at 100. I'm pushing to get them all to G19. I don't have any of them at G19 quite yet. It's been challenging because during that time of trying to build them up, people who have spent, I'm a free to play player, so I've definitely got pushed back to the back of the pack, usually running around 20 to 30 in arena. At one point it got so bad I was in the 70 to 80 range. I think I'm 79 at my worst point, but I've since then really invested to the detriment of my Alpha Flight team. Quite frankly, I've not put any investment in them. I did get Spider Society up to where I wanted to be, but of course, Arena is always the most important game mode for all new players. Having the cores that you get from Arena, especially since the new changes to Arena, that has been nothing but helpful, and keeping those the Annihilator team ahead of the curve. Um, I've also been investing on Sentinel. I've got him up to, I think, 58 shards. So just having all of those resources available through the arena, if you're a new player, of course, if you've been playing for a long time, you already know this, but it's very important to prioritize your arena teams, because without the arena teams, you don't get the cores. And without cores, you don't have the ability to core teams early. And so that's why I definitely recommend, prioritizing your arena teams over anything else to try and mitigate the changes on like what's happened. So I also have a lot of sympathy for people who've tried to go on the free to play route, who have been waiting for Annihilator and for Gladiator to for them to be available like as a normal team, and it's probably been nothing but frustrating to see yourself struggle in arena. So I think it's really just a matter of prioritizing what's most important to you and what's important to you in the game. And I think it all really starts with arena teams. And so it would have been hard to know this beforehand if you weren't kind of up and following the game and knew what was going on. But it was clear to everybody who was paying attention that this was going to be a team that was well worth investing in, and that you would be it'd be a good idea for you to use all of your resources to get these teams up as fast as possible.
Alrighty. Thank you very much. Alright. Now, you are one of the most active people in the Twitch community. I think I see you in every chat. You have more mod swords than anyone I know. What has been your favorite moment in the Marvel Strike Force community throughout your time playing?
Man, that's such a big question. There are so many good moments I can think of. Off the top of my head, seeing Run Seven getting his chest ripped with during his his fundraiser, Purple Sticky as Grimace. So many mobile gamer moments that I can't even really put into words because there's just been so many of them. Um, Comrade, Zero Cool Gamer, Updog, White Noise, Lex Lethal. I mean, there have just been so many people who have been doing this thing for a long time. Taco Shooter, how many happy hour moments that have just, been legendary. Um, there are just too many to say one, but, I will say, kind of as a broader kind of answer to your question, I think that I love the MSF Twitch community. I think it's very, very unique. I love how everybody kind of brings their own thing. I I knew that this was something special a long time ago when I joined a couple years ago. I was, learning about the game. Years ago, it was very, very difficult to. There were no content creators. There was Casino and there were some other people, but that was pretty much it. And then, you know, At that point, I know that there was other content creators, but I didn't know them, as broadly because I wasn't as passionate as I was. And so getting into it and learning about Valley and Mobile and Goofy Rexy and Reminex and Tawna and Taco Shooter and all these other people who have been doing this stuff for a long time, um, it's just been so fun to be a part of this and to kind of be a part of a legacy of different, people who are just really passionate about the game. And I think that's, been the funnest part, is that people really do care about this game, and by default they care a lot about the people who are in the community. And that's just been one of the most amazing things to me, is that I love to serve. I've talked about this on, other interviews I've done, like with Zero Cool Gamer, but Marvel Strike Force changed my life. It, really kind of helped give me some satisfaction, some content, and then kind of help me also realize my own power, my own ability to kind of affect the world around me. Because as somebody who like led an organic alliance and did the recruiting and the outreach and dealt with all those trials and tribulations, like there's a book that's been written about this, about World of Warcraft, and how learning how to do World of Warcraft made them a better employee in the real world, because they kind of help you have to deal with these real issues, conflicts, personality differences, working towards a common objective. Sometimes people have to sacrifice for the greater good. Um, and I just love that part about it. Like all of us trying to work together to make the best out of the situation. I mean, again, everybody loves the game. They wouldn't be here on YouTube or on Twitch if they didn't really care about the game. And I think that's kind of just been the funnest part. It's just being a part of all these different moments, meeting all these different people. And not only that, like I love the power of positive thinking and positive actions. Like I'm kind of goofy. I say some wacky, crazy things, but ultimately, I love people. I'm a kind and caring person, and I just love that Marvel Strike Force and Twitch and YouTube allow the ability for me to affect people in a positive way. I've had people mention that they think that when they see what we're talking about, they make them laugh for the only time they've been able to laugh all day. And for people who are dealing with real true struggles at home and their personal lives, this is a great escape for some people. It gives them the opportunity to feel powerful when they don't have any power in their lives per se. And I just love that I can try and help people just get through, to manage and to deal with life, because again, we all have our own struggles, we all have our own trials and tribulations, and you never know what somebody's going through. And so that's why ultimately I'm always born of compassion. Like I want to always be kind to others and to other people, because again, you just never know what people are dealing with in their own lives. And that if the worst were to happen and if you were to be gone from this planet tomorrow, I'd like to think that my legacy, your legacy, is one of kindness and loving and goodness to other people. I think that's the most important thing. I think that's, you know, what's the meaning of life? 42? Well, no, it's being kind to others for no reason other than just to be kind. There's a lot of different things that can, work you down and to make you not feel good about yourself. And so I try and always come from an uplifting and a positive place, and to try and, at least make people laugh at a bare minimum. So,
Alright. Now, this game has been on for a while. Um, what would happen? What needs to happen for the game to be more exciting? In recent days, especially, a lot of bad news has come out in the community about the future of free-to-play events. What in the game needs to happen for it to be exciting to play again?
well, I think it just needs more engagement. I mean, there's not a whole lot to do for a high end player. Like, if your raid teams are maxed, you're pretty much simulating most of them. You're logging in to get your daily energy, if you even care that much at this point, because energy probably isn't going to do much for you. You have all the resources and whatever you may need. I think it really boils down to more content. And in some ways, as a part of this new model that they've kind of adopted, I think that they've kind of understood that. Like we've kind of got like a fast forward on Odin. We got the announcement with Professor X, and then now we have this, announcement with Odin. Like I think things are happening a lot faster, because I think they realize that people need stuff to do. And when people are bored and they don't have anything to engage with, there is nothing for them to do. Like, literally, the only thing that I ever need to do on a daily basis is do my daily raids, which are mostly simming, and I'm working on DD7. I'm halfway through the second or the first node of Global. And once I get Mephisto, and of course, besides Cosmic Crucible, there's nothing else for me to do in game. The game is about engagement. The game is about players playing. And if your players are playing, then people are going to quit. I'm excited for the future of the Battle World boss mode, but again, how much time can that really, take up? Like, the funniest thing to me about when Mobile started his new account is that he said he's having the most fun doing all the different things that you could do on a new player account. And eventually he got to the point where he got through all those things and suddenly he got bored again. Like, there just wasn't a lot to do. Now, if you are sweating, you want to play this game all the time, like, you need constant forms of engagement. And I think that's a fair criticism for people. I mean, because again, once you do your Cosmic Crucible, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like, there isn't much to do until Sunday, besides doing your dailies and doing your daily attempts at DD7 if you're still working your way through that. So I hope that the game is focusing on providing more content and more ability and more ways for people to just be a part of the game and to actually do something besides just push simulate for a couple times, 3 times a day.
Alright. Excuse me, sorry. I have the cold or something and was putting this off for like a week and just want to get it done with. Um,
No worries, man.
where do you see the game in a year? I know that Battle World you mentioned already, like that's coming out. But like what else do you see the game doing in the next year?
I see it being pretty similar to how it is now. You know, it's going to be challenging for free to play players. Again, I don't want to be too negative in this interview. I think it's pretty clear that Scopely is a business that they are trying to cater to a Kraken audience because that's where they make their most money. And if it wasn't for the Kraken audience spending a whole bunch of money, then the rest of us wouldn't be able to play this game. So I'm not a Kraken hater. I'm glad. I praise every single Kraken for spending thousands and thousands of dollars because without them subsidizing the rest of us who don't spend money, then it would be a totally different game, and we'd have ads, and we'd have even worse QA and all the other things going on. So again, you've seen Scopely; they're doing well. Making $2 billion off a game in 10 months and $3 billion after 14 months or whatever it is with Monopoly Go. Like, they know what they're doing. They know how to monetize games. They know how to try and extract as much money as they can out of people who are willing to spend that money. And again, without those people spend that money, the game wouldn't exist. So I'm fine with that. I've been a pretty big proponent in the term hyper monetization just because I feel like since Black Knight, it's been a brand new game. Like, it's been a hard pivot towards, again, pay to play versus pay to win. I know people have seen obviously all the different things that have happened and changed, over the last couple months. And, again, I'm not trying to here to be negative because, again, I ultimately, it is what it is. Like, I don't care that much because I'm not a particularly competitive player. So it doesn't really bother me that they've kind of moved this route of, vaulting characters and vaulting game modes. I mean, I've been pissed and I've, vented about being pissed about that because I don't think it's fair for them to do that. There's no reason to change from the prior model. Like, you know, Old Man Logan, perfect example. I was paywalled out because I didn't have my Cabal and my Out of Time up to where they needed to be. By the second time it came around, I did have them up, so I was able to compete, and I was still able to get Old Man Logan up, and now I've been competitive in Arena, and without my Old Man Logan being 100, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So, again, I know that's different for me as somebody who's almost 60 million TCP and has been playing for a long time with a pretty well-developed roster. So I'm also sympathetic to people who are not in that same situation, who have just been completely and absolutely paywalled out. So I get that's frustrating. It hasn't affected me as much, so it hasn't had such a negative impact on me that I've got to the point where I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm quitting. I'm over. I'm done with it. I've had plenty of times where I've thought about quitting, but Again, if it wasn't for the Twitch community, if it wasn't for the community at large, I probably would quit just because there's no point a lot of the time. Like, again, just waiting for the next opportunity to play DD7, waiting for the next opportunity to, do some raids and just farming, 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 farming. I mean, again, this is a pretty simple game. Like, there's not a whole lot to it. It's more about showing up every day than as anything else. So, um, I feel like the game's going to be exactly like how it is right now. There's going to be, characters paywall. There's going to be events paywalled. If you're not spending money, if you're not having a well developed roster, you're going to struggle. You're going to try and keep up. But at the same time, like, engagement on this game is up. Mobile's talked about this on stream that overall his views, and I watch it, his numbers, like this guy gets 10,000 views on a video within 24 hours. Like there are a lot of people who are engaging on this game. I don't think the game is dying. I in no way absolutely even remotely think this game is dying. I think that it's making plenty of money. I do absolutely believe that they are hemorrhaging, people who play, but for the amount of people who quit, there are people who are joining, there are people who are spending who didn't spend before. And again, per capita, if you're getting more money out of the people, per user, like ultimately it's a win to Scopely. Even if you've lost 1,000 people, but you gain 100 who spend the equivalent of 10,000 people, that's ultimately a net win to Scopely. So I think people just they think about these things kind of in a simplistic black and white kind of perspective. And I can tell you as an attorney who's worked in the corporate world, like things are very, very rarely black and white, and it's very, very rarely cut and dry. Like, you know, you might be doing well in some areas and you might be doing not so well in other areas, but overall it's a net good because reasons or vice versa. Like it's never just a clear cut, like, yep, this is it. We've made more money, so that's good, or we've lost more users, so that's negative. Like, yeah, if you've lost users who weren't spending money, but you gain more users who are spending more money per capita, ultimately that's what matters to a corporation. And again, ultimately, this is a game. Like, you are using a license of a game. You've signed terms of service. Like, you've waived many rights that you have against this game by playing it. So, you either accept it as is and you play it, or you don't. You find another game. And there are plenty of other games out there that you can play. Um, but I think they've kind of got to the point where they realize like we have the Marvel IP. Like this is the only game kind of like this that you can play. If the sole reason why you download this game, i.e. me, the sole reason you download this game is to watch Marvel characters go pum 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 pum, like that's what you're going to have to put up with. And if you don't like it, then quit. I mean, I would, I've been a big proponent for a long time. If you are not enjoying this game, if you don't like it, if you're not happy with it, then you should quit. You should find another game. I've told people who want to be content creators, literally the worst game you could ever pick to start streaming is this game right here. Because per capita, the amount of people who watch it is just so small. But what you will find is that the people who will watch you are very passionate and who are very committed and who are very willing to help you, which is something, I don't have an experience base to base it off of. But again, this community rallies around each other. Like, this is not one of those communities that's super backstabby, at least as far as in a content creation role. Like, people help each other out, they encourage each other, they offer and volunteer their support and their assistance. And so that kind of community, again, we talked about this forever. Community is what this thing is whole about, as far as I'm concerned.
Alright. So you mentioned hypermonetization earlier. Do you kind of touched on this a little bit, but do you like the direction the game is heading?
No, I mean, no. It is what it is, though. Like, I don't get to make those choices. Like, I don't get to choose the direction of this game. And if I don't like it, then my choice is to quit. And so, if it wasn't for the reasons that we've talked about, like just kind of being engaged and caring about this community, like I probably would quit. So, um, I don't know. Like, this is kind of a circular pattern that happens all the time. Like there's a new update, people get upset about it, there's backlash, they push back, and then suddenly things change that weren't supposed to change. So I'm not necessarily like foregoing that, like, we're on this, titanic path that's never going to change, like it's always going to be the same. Like I don't think that way at all. I think that, the more people are vocal and they push back and they say about the things that they don't like about the game, the more I think that it's going to be able to have an impact on stuff. So I encourage people to, just like Sevi said in her recent post on, MSFPV, like speak up, make your comments, like you know, post your issues, and just be out there and be vocal, and just know that, we have the ability to make change, and we have made change on so many different ways and so many different levels. And another thing that I think people don't give the MSFPV enough credit for is that have got to be so many things that, unless you have NDA, you don't even know what was going to happen, and that they were killed and nipped in the bud. I mean, they've been clear about this, many, many times. Like, I would guess there's probably 60 to 70% of the ideas that are pitched are probably just absolutely horrible, but because there's enough of a pushback that they don't ultimately, follow through with them. So, for them to be called the Kraken Alliance and people giving them grief about trying to help out the game and whatnot, like I just hate that stuff. Like, this community, we've survived and done as well as we have just by trying to help and support each other. And so when people, are toxic and they're just trying to drag people down, and just trying to throw mud in people's faces, like I don't like that. Like, if you are on the MSFPV, you are trying to serve. Like, I don't care if you're a Kraken, I don't care if you're a free to play player. Like, you don't volunteer 10 to 15 hours, 20 hours or more every, month, week, whatever it may be, because you're just trying, you have an agenda. Like, people don't do that, like that just doesn't make sense. So when people push back against them for just, whatever the reason may be, they think it's a Kraken Alliance. I hate that. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's unfair. You wouldn't be volunteering unless you care. And so I just wish people would understand that a little bit better, that, regardless of whether Beta Ray Bill was on there or not, like, he ultimately cares about the game, and you fucking neckbeards pushed him away because everybody was so toxic to him, just because he liked to spend money on the game and subsidize the game that we all enjoy. Like, the guy, I know he's come back and quit or whatever. I don't know what his current status is, but that negativity pushes people away. We need less of the negativity. Like, there's no place for it. There's no reason for it. Like, it's always going to be, it's always going to be good and bad. There's always going to be a grab bag. We're not going to always have things exactly our way. Like, I just hope people would just try and be more positive and look at things more in a positive light. So,
I completely agree. Um, the whole beta situation was, I mean, it's just people, freedom of speech. That's all I can say.
yeah. And again, people's life situations are so different. Like,
Hmm.
Beta has the disposable income. I think probably a lot of people who are mad at him probably don't have the same disposable income. And so, it's a concern. Like, I hate that inequity about things, that, people things should be more equal. But, again, whatever has happened in his life, he has the money to spend this stuff. He has the ability to spend tens of $1,000s, and it won't affect him at all. Like, for some people, that would just be like, their entire, year's salaries. So I think it's a touchy subject. I think it, draws upon a lot of different things that don't necessarily even have to do with the game.
Hmm. Um, so we already touched on this again. I oversay on my part. I'm asking the same question in different ways. Um, what do you think of the new character release method that was announced the other day? That everyone and their brother has made a video on so far.
Well, my first thought is that, everybody has said doom and gloom. Like, this is just kind of part of the MSF Twitch content creator model, that everybody's going to say this is the end of the game, it's this, that, and the other, and that we kind of get into it and we realize it's not as bad as everybody thought it was going to be. So I'm not going to be one of those doomsayers. Like, I'm not here to, drive up views on your stream and say, oh, tdatz is saying the game is over, we all should quit now. Like, no. This game is not over. Nobody's deleting this game. It's not going anywhere. Um, just get on the pot or don't. Like, piss and get off the pot or don't. Like, you either have got to be okay with, this is the way that it's been. Like, for one of the first content creators that kind of laid it out for me was Mr. Hartgrave, and I really have to give him a benefit of the doubt and a shout out, because he said years ago, when I first started really kind of getting engaged with content creators, like, this is a pay to play win, pay to play game. Like, if you want to win, you have to spend money. If you're not going to spend literally thousands of dollars against people, you will never be able to compete in this game. So you just need to, relegate yourself to, this is where I'm at in the game, and in comparison to everybody else. So, you know, the game is going that night. Honestly, I'm surprised it hasn't happened earlier. I mean, like, you know, if anything, I kind of feel like Monopoly Go has kind of pushed them in this direction, that, like, you can literally ask people to spend an insane amount of money, and they will if you present it in the right way. Like, you know, $2 billion in 10 months. I mean, that's absolutely insane. I mean, if you're aware of the world and the environment, like, of course it makes sense that they would do this. Of course it makes sense they would make a hyper monetization model. Of course they would. They would be stupid as a company to not do it. Okay. So, is it a new world order? I'm not really sure yet. I mean, we've talked about new world orders for the better part of the last couple years. Probably not. I mean, I think that people will still be able to play and engage, and again, I still think that the pushback and the outlet, the backlash is going to make them not lean to this so heavily. I think that they've kind of captioned this whole blog post in a way to make it seem like this is where we're going. We've kind of carved ourselves out. We might do this, we might do that. Like, they've given themselves plenty of outs to try and just be like, well, that's what we were saying at that time. So, I'm a big believer in wait and see. The game modes currently haven't super negatively affected me, so I'm okay for right now. But just like anything else, you just gotta just wait and see what happens.
Alrighty. Now, a very, 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 very touchy topic right now because of the incidences with data mines and other stuff that is happening. What are your opinions as a whole on the Envoy program?
Um, well, the Envoy program, I mean, again, at the end of the day, the Envoy program is intended to provide information to people who have already established themselves, who have an audience with the MSF audience. So, I mean, again, it's always been, I don't want to say a shill program, but it's always been a shill program. Like, it's intended to provide information to people who are in the know, who can share that information in a way that is going to ultimately help the company's bottom line. So, there hasn't really been any changes to the Envoy program as far as I know. I think I've told you that I did apply to the Envoy program a couple months ago while it was closed, and then messaged with Lori a little bit. And that was before Path came on as community manager, and so I know that they've obviously had Juicy join and somebody else join recently too. I can't. Do you
The
know? Do you
Sia and
remember who?
Gideon XL.
Who?
The Sia and Gideon XL.
He joined the Envoy program?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. I was thinking of somebody else, but I mean, the Envoy program has always kind of been the same thing it's always been. And so that's kind of why I wanted to join, is that I want to kind of know about this information as it's coming out. Like, again, that's probably why they haven't responded to me, because I'm not really an active content creator. And so, you know, it's intended to provide information to people who are, in the know. And so, I mean, I don't really have really negative or positive thoughts on it. I mean, again, it is what it is. Like, I don't think anything has changed to make it, one way or the other. Like, I think it's all, it's been the same thing it's always been, I guess. So,
Alright. Now, the last question, the best for last. DD8. Another topic that's been hot recently. Especially with Odin's kit being able to clear exhaust and the sure like amount of, I don't want to say gating. I don't know, like if that's the right word choice for it. Um, what are your opinions on like the kit of Odin? The DD8 play that's still not being updated. It's not showing the correct amount that you actually need. And like your thoughts in general on DD8 requiring ISO instead of like gear tiers.
If anything, I think your last part is kind of a positive development. Like, I think that not requiring Gear Tier 20 for I think this is indicative of this new model. Like, we're going to push out DD characters every 3 to 6 months. Like, it's part of that whole monetization model, and that getting people to upgrade the teams that they need in order to compete, and the legendary model. I think that that's just, again, part of the whole, part and parcel of where this game is going. Um, I'm still working my way through DD7. I'm halfway through Global. I still have Cosmic and Legendary and whatnot. So I don't really care about DD8 at this point. Like, I'm pretty satisfied with where my roster is generally. I have some teams that I wish I hadn't, overlooked building up that I kind of wish I had now, at least for Cosmic Crucible. In particular, I'd say, like New Warriors and MOE, like they're still kind of the G16, 17 range. I wish I'd built them up a little bit higher. I wish I'd built up my Infinity Watch a long time ago, which is still in the G15, 16 range. But I'm not particularly worried about Odin just because, I have more immediate concerns and, things that I'm trying to get accomplished before I get to that point. Again, I think this is kind of just part of these new characters and teams just kind of breaking the game. Like, we're changing things that have been, normal in the game for a long time. Like, oh, okay, we're just gonna flip all this stuff now. Oh, okay, all right, sounds good. So, but it all again makes sense in the context of trying to push new characters, new teams, new legendaries, trying to keep things, progressing forwards. Because again, I think they also are very aware of the fact that, a lot of people don't have a lot to do, and so there's a decent part of the game that just retire because there's nothing for them to do. Like, it's not just because they're worried about what's in the future. It's like, well, what am I doing now? Like, I'm farming things 3 times a day. Like, I'm pushing sim 3 times a day. Okay, I'm maybe getting one opportunity to play unique game mode in DD7, and oh shit, I died after getting attacked, putting 4 attacks in. So having more opportunities for the players to engage with the game is never going to be a bad thing. Having more opportunities for people to have things to do in the game, I think, is never going to be a bad thing. I think they recognize that. I think they're working towards that. Pathfinder and I have been friends for a long time. I've, DM'd with Pat, for a long time. So, I know he's only, a marginal player and everything, but I do truly believe that he will do what he can to try and, enhance this game, enhance the game experience, enhance the community's, engagement and enjoyment with the game. And so, ultimately, I'm a positive person. I want to believe in what's possible. I'm not going to focus on the negative. I'm not going to worry about things that I can't control. I'm going to play this game at my own pace. Bonus stuff is bonus stuff, and I'm just going to enjoy it. Like, I'm not going to get caught up in the hype, man. So.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, tdatz, for taking time out of your busy day to come talk with me. Again, tdatz's Twitch is in the description. Make sure to go follow it. He does dancing streams with his kids, and they are hilarious to watch. I'll be
thank
probably...
you, Flint. I really appreciate you having me, buddy.
Yeah. Alrighty. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night. Have a good day. See ya.